The great kings of Majapahit, forgers of an empire. History is often written from the ashes. When a dynasty falls, when a capital is destroyed, it is precisely then that new heroes emerge, individuals with the cunning, courage, and ambition to build a world even greater than before. Such is the story of the birth of Majapahit. This is the story of a prince who turned the world's most powerful enemy into a tool for revenge and nation-building. A story of a dynasty shaped by bloody rebellions and deep political intrigue, brought to its pinnacle of glory by a prime minister with an immortal oath and an enlightened king. Welcome back to the History of Southeast Asia series. In this episode, we will delve into the chronicles of the Majapahit Empire to learn about the brilliant kings and leaders who built the last great Hindu-Buddhist Golden Empire in the Indonesian archipelago. Part 1. Raden Wijaya, cunningly forging a nation from the ashes, 1293 to 1309. Our story begins in the year 1292, the darkest hour of the Singhasari dynasty. King Angrok, its last king, had been killed by a rebellious vassal named Jayakatwang. Amidst this chaos, one figure emerged, Raden Wijaya, Angrok's son-in-law. Raden Wijaya was a political and military genius, a master of the art of survival and strategy. Instead of a direct confrontation with a superior enemy, he made an unthinkable move. He feigned surrender to Jayakatwang, asking only for a small, desolate piece of land in the Triulan region. Legend has it that as his soldiers cleared this land, they found a fruit that was intensely bitter, a maya fruit that was pahit. From this, the name Majapahit was born. While quietly building his forces, a God-sent opportunity arrived. In 1293, the mighty Mongol fleet of Kublai Khan, sent to punish Angrok, who they did not know was already dead, landed on Java. Instead of panicking, Raden Wijaya saw a perfect tool. He immediately sent envoys, declaring his submission to the Mongols and asking to borrow their strength to destroy the usurper Jayakatwang. The unsuspecting Mongols agreed. A strange alliance was formed. With the help of the Mongol cavalry and infantry, Raden Wijaya easily defeated Jayakatwang, avenging his father-in-law. But his game was not over. Immediately after the victory, while the Mongol troops were celebrating and off guard, Raden Wijaya rallied all his forces and launched a surprise attack on the very allies who had just helped him. Caught by surprise and unfamiliar with the terrain, the mighty Mongol army was routed, forced to hastily board their ships and retreat from Java in humiliation. From this double victory, in November 1293, Raden Wijaya was formally enthroned, taking the reign name Kertarajasa Jayavardhana, founding the Majapahit Empire. His reign was a period of consolidation. He had to face a series of rebellions from his own former comrades in arms, who had helped him found the nation but were now discontented. Despite many difficulties, Kertarajasa succeeded in putting down the rebellions and laying a solid foundation for a new empire, an empire born from cunning and betrayal. Part 2. Jayanagara, the Reign of Rebellions, 1309 to 1328. When Kertarajasa died in 1309, he was succeeded by his son, King Jayanagara. According to the Pararatone Chronicle, Jayanagara's reign was one of the most chaotic and turbulent periods in Majapahit's history. Jayanagara is depicted as a weak and somewhat immoral king, lacking his father's talent and charisma. This created an opportunity for a series of rebellions to erupt, threatening the very existence of the young dynasty. Among them, the most dangerous was the rebellion of Kuti in 1319. Kuti, a high-ranking nobleman, succeeded in capturing the capital, forcing King Jayanagara to flee and hide in a small village. It seemed as though the dynasty was finished, but in this darkest moment, a great figure emerged who would shape Majapahit's destiny for the next half-century. His name was Gajah Mada. At the time, Gajah Mada was a young commander of the royal guard. With extraordinary courage and cunning, he secretly rallied loyalist forces in the countryside. He spread rumors that the king was safe and preparing a counterattack, quelling the panic among the populace. He then led a surprise assault on the capital, defeating Kuti and restoring Jayanagara to the throne. This act made Gajah Mada an indispensable force in the court. However, Jayanagara continued to rule poorly. He was assassinated in 1328 by his own physician, in an incident believed to have been orchestrated by Gajah Mada himself. Jayanagara's death closed a dark chapter and opened the way for a new era of stability and prosperity. Part 3. Tribhuwana Wijatungadui, the queen who paved the way, 1328 to 1350. As Jayanagara had no son, the throne passed to his half-sister, Tribhuwana Wijatungadui. She ascended the throne as a queen regent, ruling until her son, Hayam Wuruk, came of age. The reign of Queen Tribhuwana was the period when real power lay in the hands of her brilliant prime minister, Padi Gajah Mada. Appointed as prime minister in 1331 or 1334, Gajah Mada swore a famous oath, known as the Palapa Oath, Sumpah Palapa. He vowed that he would not enjoy any personal comfort or luxury, Palapa, until he had unified the entire archipelago, Nusantara, under the banner of Majapahit. This was not an empty vow. It was a political manifesto, a detailed plan for the expansion of the empire. Under Gajah Mada's leadership and Queen Tribhuwana's patronage, the armies and fleets of Majapahit began a large-scale conquest. In 1343, one of the most important conquests took place, the subjugation of the island of Bali. Bali was a powerful and independent Hindu kingdom. After a difficult war, the Majapahit army was victorious, annexing Bali into the empire. This was followed by expeditions to Sumatra, Borneo, and the Spice Islands to the east. Queen Tribhuwana may not have personally led the armies, but she was the one who trusted and granted full authority to Gajah Mada, enabling him to realize his ambitions. She was a crucial link, a trailblazer who prepared everything for the most glorious era that was about to begin when her son took the throne. Part 4. Hayam Wuruk and Gajah Mada. The Peak of Glory, 1350 to 1389. In 1350, Queen Tribhuwana abdicated, and her son ascended the throne, taking the reign name Rajasanagara, but he is more famously known as Hayam Wuruk. His reign, from 1350 to 1389, is considered the Golden Age, the absolute peak of glory for the Majapahit Empire. This was the era of a perfect power duo, Hayam Wuruk, an enlightened and devout king, and a great patron of the arts, and Gajah Mada, the experienced prime minister who continued to carry out his Palapa Oath. Under their rule, Majapahit became a true empire, a maritime superpower. The epic poem Nagara-Kertagama, composed by the poet Prapanka in 1365, lists a long roll call of the empire's vassal territories, stretching from Sumatra in the west, across Borneo and Sulawesi, to the Maluku Islands in the east, and including the Malay Peninsula. Although the actual degree of control may have varied, it shows a vast network of power and commercial influence. The capital of Majapahit became an international metropolitan center, where merchants from all over Asia gathered. Hayam Wuruk was a king who cared deeply for the welfare of his subjects. He frequently made royal tours around the kingdom to inspect conditions, oversee public works, and attend religious festivals. He was also a great patron of the development of Javanese literature and art, creating a brilliant cultural era. However, even in this most glorious period, the seeds of decline were already present. The Bubat tragedy of 1357, a massacre of the Sundanese royal family due to the rigidity and perhaps arrogance of Gajah Mada, created a deep-seated enmity between the Javanese and Sundanese kingdoms, a wound that would never heal. Part 5. The Long Twilight. The Legacy of the Great Kings. Gajah Mada died in 1364. His death left a power vacuum that could not be filled. Hayam Wuruk, though an enlightened king, could not find a prime minister with Gajah Mada's talent. When Hayam Wuruk died in 1389, the empire began to enter a long period of decline. Wars of succession, like the Paragreg War, exhausted the state's resources. At the same time, the rise of coastal Islamic kingdoms, especially Malacca, gradually eroded the economic and political power of Majapahit. The legacy left by the great kings of Majapahit is immense. They created the most powerful empire in Southeast Asian history, a golden age that has become a source of pride and inspiration for the modern nation of Indonesia. Gajah Mada's dream of a united Nusantara still resonates to this day. However, their fall also marked the end of an era, the era of the great Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms in the archipelago. A new religion, a new world order, was ready to take its place.